Welcome back to Sunday sessions where instead of self-sabotaging, we self-develop and self-reflect through visual documentation. So, weekly overview. This week has been really, really strange. Obviously, Christmas and New Year coming up, so I went down south and spent some quality time with my family, which was really nice. But in terms of business, it's super slow and it's super challenging because this year has been such a growth year for us and for me. It feels really strange when you log on to socials, you log onto Slack and there's no new sign up or there's no new team member being inducted, and you kind of have to really learn to center yourself and go, you know what, this is a period that was going to come. You knew this was going to come, so just kind of soak it in, reset so you can really propel into the new year. So I have moved house as well. I moved this morning, so I'm now based in Northbridge, and it's my first time living alone. And it already, I moved yesterday, not this morning. Already, I'm realizing that I'm going to have to be on the move, right? And why I say that is that when I'm stagnant and I'm alone and I'm by myself, I can already feel myself start to get into this little slump, and I don't like being in a slump, right? Just like not more negative, but my urge to go out and do things has significantly decreased. And I don't know if that's just kind of like this time of year as well, but it's definitely got to do with being alone and not having to show up for anyone else. Although I've got my team and I've got, our clients and those kinds of things, but no one actually here with me. And I think it's going to be a really challenging period for the next week or two, and challenge my ability to show up for myself. And I think that's something a lot of us struggle with, is showing up for ourselves. You hear about a lot of people when they're even making dinner, right? They don't make dinner for themselves because they don't have to cook for anyone else. So why would they make it for themselves? But if I'm going to show up for my team and for our clients and just be a really good example and be the example, then I'm obviously going to have to show up for myself as well. So a little bit off topic there, but let's have a look at the week. Overall, like I said, went down south, spent some time with my family for Christmas, and really just tried to switch off, right? And switching off, I think for any entrepreneur and anyone who's trying to achieve something, is always super challenging. But this time of year, right, the energy that comes with December and Christmas and the new year coming up, it's actually a lot easier, in my opinion, to switch off. So I spent a couple of days down there, and then come back up here and kind of just hang around the house for Boxing Day. Spent time with my roommate, one of my mates, watching a lot of cricket, right? The only time of year that I watch cricket, but I think every Australian gets around it this time of year. And then obviously today, catching up, is Sunday, and we're kind of getting ready to attack next week. Monday, I go back and do a lot of work. Obviously, I went down and did a lot of work today at one of my favourite cafes. But Monday, it's the 30th, and I think it's that weird time of year for a lot of people, right? Like it's that in between Christmas and the New Year. Some people go back to work, some people don't. I'm going to basically get back into it tomorrow and have a couple of webinars and calls and those kinds of things with the team. I feel like I'm saying like a lot of the stuff I've said throughout these past couple of videos, preparing for next year, but honestly it is, right? And setting the standard, setting the tone. So we'll make sure we get off to a good start there. So business updates, nothing major to report. Like we said, everything is really slow, and it's strange when you log into your socials and there's no new team member being inducted. Slack's not going off. Your social's a little bit more quiet, but it's a bit of a blessing as well, I suppose. So personal updates. It's been challenging coming in here, and I'm in such a small area now. It's a lot smaller than where I was, right? It's kind of like a box, but there's not much else to do other than work, right? And work on myself. And really, I think 2025 for me, they talk about going monk mode, right? For me, it's about locking in and recentering and really like pushing growth, right? So pushing growth in terms of my mentality, in terms of my implementation, everything from A to Z, right? It's going to be a real growth year for me, a lot more travel, those kinds of things. So trying to develop a new routine now, trying to move around a lot more, be more creative with my workspace. When I'm in different areas, I'm a lot more creative. Whereas before, I had to have my routine, the set structure, the set routine, all these kinds of things. And it kind of comes off the back end of my last video. I used to be a real like structured, regimented person, but what I'm finding now is that I like to be like kind of spread out a bit more, and I don't like to have my calendar back to back to back to back. I like to have time to be creative and more to have a to-do list to go, I have 5 things to do today, let's get them done. I don't really care what time they get done, as long as they do get done and I'm moving forward. That's something I'm learning about myself, and this week has kind of taught me is that, you know, I don't necessarily need to have things like being done at certain times, and that's, I guess, the beauty of leverage. Obviously I have like set calls and those kinds of things in play that I need to attend to, but a lot of my creative work, I can start to get up when I want to get up, and you know, I can train when I want to train and those kinds of things, which is really, really cool. So in terms of my training this year, I'd kind of thought about it, and I'd spoken about in my last couple of videos on what I wanted to look like. I've kind of gone with, I don't want to say the theme, because you shouldn't really have a theme for your training. Well, I suppose you can, right? But for me, bulletproofing my body is a big one. Having injuries and like niggles over the for ages, as long as I can remember, I've had something wrong or something's hurt, like been hurting or those kinds of things. I want to really center in on my mobility, my movement, and just like controlling my body. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to be doing this year is based around that, based around the calisthenics, and freeing up my body. I think years of local sport, local footy, basketball, everything like that, you spend a lot of time playing games with high intensity and not a lot of time on your recovery. And it's actually funny, like that really intertwines with entrepreneurship as well, and trying to build something. You spend a lot of time in these real deep phases of like trying to push and push and push and push, and you don't spend a lot of time on yourself, right, and healing and recovering and those kinds of things. So definitely, like bulletproofing my body, I suppose, ties into bulletproofing my mind, and just making sure I'm good to go come the new year. So that's kind of the update. It's nothing major this week. I did want to sit down and get a video out, and you know, as we kind of go further along into the new year, I hope to have a lot more to share with you guys. But honestly, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone that's been watching the videos, kind of going over my personal brand and the stats and those kinds of things. We've seen some good growth on the YouTube already. I think last video had the most amount of views out of any video on my channel so far, and I'm super proud about that, because it's content that I want to post, and it's content that I'm really aligned with, and I think aligns with my mission and, you know, what I want to do. And you know, in the past I'd kind of tried to make content that people would like, but I'm learning that when I make content that I enjoy and it's authentically me, people really resonate with it as well. So I'm going to wrap this one up here. Nothing major to share, other than to say thank you for everyone who's been watching, and yeah, I'll keep you guys updated as we head into 2025.